Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Onyx with my wonderful co-hosts here.
Hi, I'm a kilobyte.
And I'm Clickbait.
And on today's special episode, we have another fantastic guest with us, Jeremy Levy.
Yes,
Yes.
that's right. So
Fantastic,
Woo!
the
happy to
voice of
be here, guys.
Bumblebee.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
Thank you
Thanks for
for
you.
being
coming.
here.
It's
I
my
know it's a
pleasure.
long journey.
I know it was a very long journey, but you know what? I packed some snacks, and I'm well hydrated, and I was well prepared.
What kind of snacks do
Awesome.
humans usually eat?
I got my gummy bears. I got my Tato's chips.
Ooh,
I
I think
have
those are
my
essential.
yeah, M&M's trail mix,
I do
and
have a question.
yeah.
Are gummy bears made out of real bears?
Oh,
I
my
was just about to ask
premise.
that. Or do you like gum on the bear?
Honest mistake. No, they're not actually real bears that I'm
Ah,
aware of.
Do
So they
you have to
could be
like
real
pluck the
bears.
hairs out of them?
Yeah, that's how they used to make them.
Oh my
oh,
Oh,
goodness.
Yeah.
huh.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Well,
Interesting.
Well,
shall we get started?
I think we
Sure.
should. I'm a
Yeah, I
little
think
bit
so. Before we go into
befuddled,
the
but I think we
world
should
of
Yeah.
get
gummy bears.
starting off with our first question. Let's start off with you telling us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I'm a Taurus. I like long walks on the beach. No, that was my online dating profile. Sorry,
It
my
also says
bad.
you like chocolate.
I also, yes, I do like chocolate. Hi, yes, I'm Jeremy. I have been a full-time voice actor for 15 years now, which is great. It's a dream. I live in New York City. I have been acting in one way or form basically my entire life. I started out in musical theater, found out pretty quickly I could not dance. So, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but still. I was like, yeah, I'm not sure musical theater is super for me. So I transferred in college to sort of straight acting, and I did acting for a long while, and I was always kind of interested in voiceovers. And then I took an acting class with a woman who did voiceovers, and we got to talking, and she introduced me to her agent. And it turns out I'm a better voice actor than actor. Who knew? So yeah, I quit my day job about 15 years ago.
Wow, what a journey.
It was fun. It was a good time.
I bet it is. And now that you're a voice actor, you've made a lot of voices, but one of them brought you to the world of Transformers. But before you were the voice of Bumblebee, was there something else that brought you into this world, into these characters? Maybe a show, a comic, a series?
Yeah, well, I mean, so I always wanted to do animated superhero stuff. I grew up a total nerd. I love Batman. Batman's my favorite. Spider-Man a close second. I grew up watching Batman the animated series and the X-Men animated series, Spider-Man animated series. I mean, before that, even when I was like a kid, I watched He-Man and I watched Thundercats and Ninja Turtles. So I grew up on all of these shows. I always wanted to be a cartoon hero of some kind. So it always had been sort of milling back there. And then I got the opportunity, came across my desk. The stars aligned.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
I do have a
That's
question
so
about
cool.
Batman. I know there's one that's called Man Bat. Is this Batman turned into Man Bat as his superpower, or are they two different characters? This is it's very confusing.
Yes, I understand. It is very confusing. There is a man bat and there is also a Batman. They're good buddies though. They have poker nights. They go see rom-coms together. So yeah, you weren't far off.
Huh, cool, cool.
Very
It's
interesting.
good to know, good to know.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Could you tell us about the process you went through when you were preparing for the role of Bumblebee? We also know you had other roles of Perceptor, Whirl, Jetfire, and Lord Gnaw.
Yeah, I did. So, preparing kind of in general just for the show, I'm sort of embarrassed to say I wasn't super familiar with Transformers before I booked the job. And I don't really know why. I'd seen the Michael Bay movies, but that was
Hmm.
kind of the extent of my knowledge base. I don't know why. I was an 80s kid. I was there. I was right there. But somehow I sort of missed it. So I sort of took myself to Transformers University on my own time because I know how important Transformers is to so many people. I know how much it means. I know it was a great responsibility. So I did not want to go in there cold. I wanted to get an idea of the lore and the world and the various styles. So
That's a big thing. There's a
it
lot
is
of
a big
lore.
thing. Yes, it is. I found that out very quickly because I was like, oh, there is no like definitive story of the
Mhm.
Transformers. Like even at the beginning, I found out that the animated series was different from the American comic book, which was different from the British comic book. It was sort of this hodgepodge of ideas, but I thought that was great. I mean, and I thought that's one of the things that makes Transformers so great is that you have these pieces like the big stuff, the big characters and their big character traits and the sort of big overarching plot lines. And as long as you maintain those, you can reshuffle them however you want. And that was the first thing that I learned in watching all of this Transformers stuff. And I was like, that is very, very cool. And I see why it's endured for decades because it's like the Transformers themselves keeps reinventing itself in new and interesting ways. It keeps evolving.
Mhm.
So
Oh, they say transforming.
Oh, my Primus.
I was working very hard to not say transforming. They're
It's too late. It's too late.
transvolving.
They're
They're
shifting
morphing.
gears.
Yes, all the time. Yeah, so I sat on my couch with a pen and paper. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. A lot of the Transformer YouTube personalities were my guides. I watched at least a couple episodes of every iteration.
Oh my goodness.
That's quite
I
the
mean,
task
That's
already.
Yeah.
amazing.
Did you have a
yeah.
favorite of the ones that you watched?
I
Shush,
know where
guys.
this question's
Shush.
going.
I mean, I liked a bunch for different reasons. I
Yeah, that's fair.
loved Generation One because it was
Hmm.
just so out there. It
Yeah.
was like it was kind of zany. There were no rules. It's like literally there were no rules. Like sometimes they were flying, sometimes they weren't. And
Sometimes
I
those
was like,
two star screams.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is insane, and I'm in. So I like that one, but I do like some more grounded Transformer stuff. So I liked a lot of the Prime stuff. I didn't watch all
Hey, there it
Prime
is.
stuff,
No, that's
but I
fair.
did. I liked the Prime stuff. I liked animated too, also
They're all
for
so fun.
yeah. I mean, like each one sort of brings something else to the party,
Yeah.
which I appreciate.
Yeah. No, I like a lot of them, but Prime is my favorite just for the lore aspect.
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of like soap opera-y.
It was very much so, yeah.
It was a robot soap opera. It was
It
a
was.
robot opera. I got
I'll
I'm
take it. I'll
writing that
take
down.
it.
Yeah.
Robot opera.
Yes, indeed. And then moving on to the next question, we heard from a fellow cast member that we've had on the show prior that you actually provided the voice for all the different radio stations for Bumblebee.
Yeah, I did. I did do that. That's true. That is
That's
correct.
super fun.
Yeah, that was a surprise for me too. I,
How did that decision come about?
So I've heard different stories from different writers and producers, but my understanding is so I'd gotten called back a bunch of times for the part, and they always
Mhm.
kind of wanted to hear something different. And so from my perspective, I showed up and they were like, okay, so in addition, they kind of explained to me how Bumblebee didn't really talk in present day. He only talked in flashbacks and in his hive mind. So they were like, he's going to have all these different radio voices. So we want to see if you can do some. And I said, sure. So they gave me a sheet of paper and it had maybe like 10 or 12 of the radio voices just in a
Oh,
row. And
wow.
they had kind of like parentheticals like old timey movie announcer, little girl, 50s grizzled detective. So they had like sort of a prompt
Hmm.
that I could work with. And I was like, all right. They're like, yeah, if you can, whatever ones you can do, just give them a shot. And I said, yeah, sure. And they said action, and I just rattled through all of them.
Oh my gosh, that's so
That's
great.
great.
And they were like, all of them. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I think you're going to do all of them. And I was like, oh, great.
That's
It's
fun.
the classic human meme, hold my drink.
Well, yes,
Yes,
exactly.
yeah.
That's exactly. You nailed it.
Cool.
Good
I'm
job,
learning. I'm
Kilo.
learning.
Woo!
I'm getting there.
That is exactly what it is. Actually, I think
All
I
that Big Bang
have.
Theory's wearing off on you.
I had a behind the scenes. Actually, this is. I will play this for you guys if the microphone will pick it up. This
Oh,
Ooh.
is from one of my last sessions, maybe. And I wanted a keepsake because I knew I wasn't going to do the radio voices anymore. So I yes, I taped myself in the booth. Let's see if you can hear this.
Slow down. What's all the ruckus? I got this. There's gotta be something we can do. Home sweet home. Bullseye. What is it? What's going on? What is it? What's going on? Is it? What's going on?
There's a curse in here.
It's halfway to Batman. I was like,
Uh,
I'm going full Batman. I'm trying, but ship won't sail. I don't know what to do. My good friend is gone.
Oh my God, that was great.
That is
that's
amazing.
fantastic.
I think that picked up most of it. That's really
Yeah.
cool. That's very impressive.
Thank
I
you.
clearly saw your Batman inspiration in there. Yeah. It
Yeah,
kind of eventually
Batman.
became a Batman.
Justice for Gotham.
There was a naughty word in there that I was trying to speak over. And I was like, oh, I
But-
forgot I cursed in here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it happened, and it was fun. It definitely kept sessions interesting.
I bet.
That's fun.
That's so cool.
Well, you mentioned you've been doing this for 15 years. Who has been your biggest inspiration through all these years as you've been acting and like changing your voice and finding new voices for your work?
Good question. I don't know that I can distill it down to one person necessarily, but I think I think it's sort of changed as I grew up. When I had very eclectic taste. When I was younger, my two favorite actors were James Dean and Jim Carrey.
That's
So
fair. That's fair.
it was very, very, very diametrically opposed acting inspirations. But I think like I took a bit from each. I mean, I loved James. I mean, James Dean was so cool, and he and Brando, what they brought to the table in the 50s when very realistic acting started to take over, they kind of changed the game. And I was like, that is very, very cool. And then I was a youngster during the height of the Jim Carrey craze. He was everywhere. I think I had like a Batman Forever poster up on my wall. So yeah, he's between those two guys, I kind of had my bases covered. There was nothing Jim Carrey couldn't do. Robin Williams too, also in that vein. I mean, Robin Williams in Aladdin was very formative to me as I rattle off all of those voices, and he did all of those voices in Aladdin too. Those guys are great, and more modern sense. I mean, Mark Hamill is a living legend. All of his stuff is incredible, and I love watching him behind the scenes because he is just so physical. The way that he embodies these characters. When he was on Batman the Animated Series, Andrea Romano wanted everyone to be there live. She wanted it to be like sort of a radio play so that everyone could bounce off of each other. And everyone was in their little booth cubicle thing, and everyone would sit in their chair with their script, except for Mark Hamill. They never gave him a chair. He never wanted a chair because he was just bouncing around, putting everything into his body. It's incredible to watch. And I definitely have cribbed some of that for myself. I never record sitting down ever for that reason.
That makes sense.
That's amazing.
awesome. Very hands-on approach.
Mm-hmm.
So, bringing us to our next question. If you had a chance to do anything with Bumblebee or any of your other characters in a follow-up season to Cyberverse, what would you like to see happen?
Well, um, there was always whispers of this happening, but I knew it would be a fairly big undertaking. But as I said earlier, I used to be a musical theater guy, and I think most, if not all, of the actors on the show also had a musical theater background, and I wanted a musical episode.
That would
I
have
have
been
heard this
fantastic.
from
That would have been fun.
multiple people that we have
Yeah,
had
I
on
think
this
Jessica
show,
mentioned that too.
Yeah.
and Travis was very, very pro a musical episode.
I don't know if it was like an urban legend that we created, just wanting it, and we were like sort of passing it around. We're like, yeah, I think it's gonna happen. Maybe it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen. We are just ginning
Transformers
ourselves up.
Cyberverse, the musical hosted by Swerve Bar.
Exactly.
Soon.
We can make it happen.
We can make it happen.
Yeah.
Get
That'd be
on
fun.
it. What are we? Let's get a change.org going.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So you heard it here first.
You heard it here first, folks.
Insider scoop.
Mhm. Yeah, that would be great. That would be so much fun. And there's so many people in that cast who would absolutely kill it, and I would be serviceable. But it would
Oh
still
my goodness.
it would still be a lot of fun.
I'm sure everyone would be wonderful. It would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'd be a good one.
Moving on to our next question. We know you voiced a few characters in Transformers Cyberverse, but if you could pick another character in this show or another show, Transformers wise, who would you pick to voice?
I gotta go with Starscream.
Ooh.
That's fair. That's a good choice.
Starscream, probably Generation 1 Starscream. He is he's just so over the top.
That's an understatement
Yeah,
too.
that's an understatement.
Just unbelievably over the top. And I think it would be extraordinarily fun to swing for the fences every single time and never have to worry about doing too much or reining yourself in. Plus, bad guys have more fun. They just do.
Bad guys
That's
just
the
wanna have
perfect
fun.
title for a song in the
Yeah.
musical. That's the
They
perfect.
just
That
do.
guys just want to have fun.
Yes.
That's it.
That's amazing. I'm dead.
Well,
I can't.
our next question is, who's your favorite Transformers character and why? I know you mentioned that you haven't seen a lot of the shows, but maybe from the little bits you saw, maybe one of them sticked out to you.
Yeah. I mean, I from Cyberverse, I have a real soft spot for Jetfire.
Oh.
He is just he's kind of a lug in some respects, but he is also very dramatic. I like the ones where I like the big guys, the guys who play them really really big. I guess that's why I gravitate towards Starscream and Jetfire because I mean Jetfire is almost operatic. He's huge in all of his delivery. And it's so much fun. It is like very close to singing. If you slowed him down just a little bit more, I would basically be singing opera.
I love that.
And
Write this down for our musical episode.
Yeah, we're writing this down. Uh-huh.
he is so much fun, and I like that, and this doesn't always get explored in later episodes, but also he comes in our season from these very tragic roots. I mean, the first episode of him and Skybite is like Skybite's out there, destroying universes, and Jetfire is tasked with finding him, and he feels responsible for all of this. And I was like, man, that's really dark. That's like
Yeah.
it's sort of like it's some depth to play there, but also he still talks like this. So it's the juxtaposition of those two things make him a very interesting character, I think.
Helps
I
hide the
agree.
I would
trauma.
agree. No biases at all, but I would agree.
Kilo.
All right, moving us to our next question. What are your top 3 favorite toy figures? And it's okay if it's not Transformers related.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean,
No judgment.
I feel
We
like
have a man that.
I feel like a lot of my favorite toys I no longer have. It's the toys I had when I was a kid. One of them I do have. I'm not sure this counts as a figure exactly, but there was sort of, I guess, I don't want to call it a doll. There's basically a doll. Have you guys ever heard of My Pet Monster? Has that Has
I
that
feel
come
like
back
it's
around at
ringing
all?
the
Yes, I
bell.
have heard of it. Yes.
Seems familiar. I might have seen it in one of the marketplaces here, but I'm not quite sure.
They it was sort of the boys' answer to Cabbage Patch Kids because Cabbage Patch Kids were so huge you couldn't get them. They were flying off the shelves. So they were like, I wonder if we can do Cabbage Patch Kids for boys. And they created My Pet Monster, which is legitimately an incredible specimen. The design of this thing is nuts. There's so many different materials involved in making him. Some of him is plush, some of him is plastic. It's this sort of scary, kooky design, and he came with these handcuffs, these
Oh
like
my goodness.
plastic handcuffs that you can also wear. And there's like a little there's a little bit, yeah, it's like he was supposed to be chained up in like a
Oh my
dungeon
goodness.
somewhere. And he could break free of them. There was like a little section missing in the middle one, so he could roar and snap his chains. And I thought it was just the coolest thing. And I still have him. He's in my parents' garage.
That's
Wow.
so
Oh, that's
cute.
great.
Yes, I hope this starts a run on vintage My Pet Monster dolls and brings them back into the market because people deserve not the new one. They like redid it like 20
Oh
years
no.
later. They did like a revamped one, not nearly as cool. Screw that one. We want the OG My Pet Monster. So that's probably my favorite. And then like I had like Castle Grayskull and Cat's Lair,
Oh,
like the
that's fun.
Thundercat's Lair. All that stuff was awesome. I wish that I kept it. I did not. That's a real bummer. So I love those. And then like ones that I have now, there's a Cyberverse Bee with my voice on it,
That's awesome.
which I was like, oh, that's fun. That's cool. Until, but he won't shut up sometimes. So
Oh no.
it gets less cool because he responds to other people's voices, and at
Oh
first you're like, oh
no.
man, that's awesome, and then if you forget to turn him off and you're just in casual conversation, you just hear like from the back of the room, Autobots, and we're like, all right, dude, shut up, enough,
That's
enough,
awesome.
B,
Chill,
That's
bro.
great.
Chill.
chill, bro, chill.
Have a cup of Energon, bud.
I like that one, and I like my Rack and Ruin too, because I think that's the first Rack and Ruin toy, if I'm not
Yeah, no,
Sounds
Sounds
mistaken.
that
correct.
correct,
sounds about
yeah.
correct. Yeah.
We need more.
Yeah, and they look great. They're just like a very imposing figure.
That's so cool. And then moving on to our next question, do you have any side projects you're currently working on that you can tell us about? It doesn't have to be Transformers related. This is whatever you're working on that you can share.
I am working on some things, but I cannot share them.
Totally fair.
Those
Mysterious.
particular things. I like to bring the mystery. What can I say?
We're here for it.
But I am, as like a side project, I am actually with my wife, who is a voice actor as well. She is on Pokemon. She played Acerola on Pokemon Sun and Moon,
Oh,
and
wow.
and
Oh,
a
that's
bunch of other
cool.
characters. We are thinking about doing our own podcast,
Ooh.
as it were.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah, we thought it'd be fun as like cartoon voice actor types. There's also a slight age gap between us. So she's 13 years younger than I am, but she is very mature and I'm very immature, so we're basically the same age.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my goodness.
The only difference is she doesn't get any of my references.
Oh
So
no.
I
I
know how
had
that
this
goes.
idea of like I
Kilobyte.
I introduce her to a bunch of the super weird movies from the 80s that I grew up with that she has
Mhm.
never seen. So every episode, I'm going to make her watch some weird movie or TV show or song from the 80s that I grew up with and which may or may not still hold up.
That sounds like a fun concept.
That is
Yeah,
very
kind of
fun.
get her perspective on it from as a Gen Zer. So yeah, we're in the pre-production process on that right now, but that's going to be a fun side project. We don't have a name for it yet. We have not come up with a good name. If anyone out there can come up with a good name for this, let's hold a contest. I will buy you a Coke because we thus far have been striking out on a name.
Recon Rewind.
Saturday morning cartoon.
Look at all right, you guys can't
Retro
be better
tapes.
than me out of the gate. All right.
The 80s.
You
Is
have
it
to
still
like
relevant?
you have to pretend
I heard
like
there
you
was
were
a thing called a
toiling over this.
blockbuster. Do you stack them?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
That's great. We're
I
we're
like
gonna
that
keep an
idea.
eye on that, and we'll
We
be
will
waiting for when it
Absolutely.
comes
subscribe.
out.
Great. I
All
got
the way from
3.
Cybertron. Yeah.
I got 3 subscribers. Nice.
Oh my goodness.
Well, our next question is, what is something that no one knows about you that you wish more people did know?
That is a good question. I have recently joined the ranks of Dungeons and Dragons players.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, I have a game after this. I got to go upstairs. We got to save the realm.
Oh, yes.
That sounds
But
like so
There we
much
go.
fun.
it started
Nice.
because a bunch of my friends were doing it, and a friend of mine who lives downstairs in my building would host games, and all my friends would come over, and I wasn't playing, and I was like, "Oh, I'll go downstairs and say hi to all my friends." So I'd go down there, thinking we'd kibitz, we'd shoot the what have you, and no one would talk to me because they were
I'm
very
busy.
they
I'm
were
living
very
fantasy
into
land.
the game.
Yeah.
I gotta defeat the dragon.
I cast
Exactly.
fireball.
Exactly. So I was like, "Oh, all right. Well, I guess if I want to hang out with my friends, I gotta learn how to D&D."
I gotta roll some dice.
We got another one, boys.
Shiny math
So-
rocks.
So that's what I did, and my wife Lauren as well. Also, because she also wanted to hang out, we felt very discluded. So she is also a character. I'm an astral elf. Just found
Ooh.
out that we hit level 5.
fun.
So very excited
Nice.
about
Woohoo,
that.
congratulations.
Level
you.
5's a good time.
Thank
It
you very
is.
much. Couldn't have done it without your support.
Been down on some math, maybe some books.
Yeah. So that's it. So I'm happy to be part of this time honored tradition, but I still am not great at it yet. It's a very complicated.
It is.
bet
It
it's
is very
fun.
complicated. And welcome to the ranks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
and
We
I
have
have
questions for you after this.
We do.
my astral elf has this is going to be another dated 80s reference, but he has a magic whip named Devo.
Why does that sound familiar?
It does sound familiar.
Devo is the band that sang that song Whip It Good.
Oh my goodness.
That's great.
I love that.
Fantastic.
That's
My
amazing.
bad. My bad.
I feel like your
No, you're
elves should have
good.
been a bard, and then that's their instrument, and then they just
Mhm.
always whip it.
That is it. I have a longbow. And honestly, there's a bunch of things that I can do, but rarely anything is better than me just shooting my bow.
That's how it goes sometimes.
It's fair.
So sometimes I come up like with these like very complicated plans of attack, and I was like, and then I'll flip off of this, and then I'll use Devo, and I'll swing off of here, and then I'll cast this spell, and then I'll pounce off of this guy, and then I'll roll to safety. And what do you think? And everyone's like, dude, just shoot your bow. And I was like, all right,
That's awesome.
You're having fun
shoot-
with it.
I
That's part
shoot.
of the game.
I shoot my bow.
But it looks really cool in your head, though.
It
Yeah,
does
it
look
does.
really cool in my
Yeah.
head.
So bringing us
That's
towards the end of our Q&A, are there any questions you have for us?
No, not really.
Perfect. I have one that can fit
I
in
think
this
that's
spot.
the easiest question we've had so far.
Perfect.
Yeah, right? So sometimes
Perfect.
people will surprise us.
I have one I can put right here. Don't worry,
Okay,
guys. I
go
got this
Go ahead.
covered.
Go ahead.
What are you
All right,
doing?
what do
We
you got?
recently had Jessica DiGiovanni on the
Oh.
podcast,
Ah, yes.
and she played Windblade on Cyberverse with you.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a conversation between
Oh, no, I know
Bumblebee
where
and
this is
going.
Windblade
Oh, no.
getting
Oh,
married.
no.
And I asked her if they did get married, where would they go on honeymoon? So now I want to know what your answer would be.
Ooh. I mean, I will preface this by saying I do not think that I'm not shipping B and Windblade. Sorry,
I knew
sorry too.
I knew it.
I won't do
Ah,
it.
She was all on
Can't.
board with it.
Yeah, she
Was-
was on board too.
I'll-
It was
I'll-
pretty funny.
But if I were in an alternate universe to ship them, let's see, where would they go on their honeymoon? I want to say Disneyland.
That's a fair
That's
answer.
fair. That's a
pretty
fair
good. That's
answer.
pretty good.
I
I'm
want to
sure.
say Disneyland. I see them sort of like walking around with, Mickey and Minnie ears the size of Volkswagens, just
That's great.
like just on their head. Like
Mhm.
I want to see B like trying to squeeze into the little cart at the haunted mansion.
Oh my gosh. My follow-up question was going to be, what would Bee's favorite ride be?
Oh, it's
That's a
the
lot of
Haunted
Bees.
Mansion.
Yeah, then you answered it without me even asking the question, but
Yeah, 100%. But he hides his eyes the entire
I was
time.
gonna
He
say
doesn't want
Bees.
anyone to know. He doesn't actually look,
Oh my gosh,
but
that's awesome.
he plays it cool at the end.
hmm He's like, oh yeah, no, totally, that was great. I loved it.
Thank you. Thank you for answering my question.
You got
Yes.
it.
I'll
And
pass it on to clickbait.
bringing us closer to the end, where can the listeners find you? Social media, website, so have it.
I do have social media and a website. My website is jeremy-levy.com. A funny story about that. The reason it is not jeremylevy.com is because someone owns that, has owned that for decades
Oh
at
my
this point.
goodness.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm not sure, I haven't gone in a while, but for the longest time, if you went to jeremylevy.com, it is completely white, completely bare. But if you zoom in the top left in very small font, it just says "Go away."
Oh my gosh. That's
Wow.
amazing.
Wow.
And I was like,
That's hilarious.
Are you kidding me?
That's hilarious.
And
Whoever owns
I
it
was in
must
a
be
Facebook
very
group
angry.
called Jeremy Levy's of the World Unite.
Oh
So
my
I went into the Facebook group and I was like, all right, man, which one of y'all did this? Fess up. But no one ever fessed up.
Oh,
I'm not
Wow.
sure. I'm not sure if it's still there. I don't know. But I know I don't have jeremylevy.com. And I am on Instagram and Threads, where I don't post very often, but my New Year's resolution to post more. It is Mr. Jeremy Levy on Instagram and Threads. And I'm also on Cameo. You want Bumblebee to say hi to your cool nephew.
That's always
Fantastic.
fun.
And
Awesome.
listeners, we'll have those in the description below so you can go find them.
Great.
Killbite, I think you have the last question.
I do have the final question, and the final one is, are there any words of wisdom or something special you would like to say to the listener?
Yeah. Well, the thing that I always say is, especially if there are actors out there or artists, voice actors, really anyone who has a gift or a talent or something that they want to communicate or throw their hat in the ring, maybe want to do it professionally. Sometimes when you take it into the professional realm, it can get kind of competitive and it can get a little disheartening. So I always say, just remember why you got into it. Remember, never lose your love for the thing that moves you and that drives you, because it is the thing that is going to carry you through when things inevitably get tough. So never lose your shine, never lose your luster, never forget why you got into this game in the first.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Amazing
Super
words.
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I had a blast.
Me too.
Well, me
Me
too. Thank
three.
you guys. Thank you so much for having me. I hope the weather is nice wherever you are, many light years away.
Well, you bet. It's not as cloudy today, but it's nice.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
We can finally leave our apartments.
We had some
Finally,
acid
yeah.
rain a couple days ago, but it's
Yeah, that was
better.
nasty.
That was
Ah.
Yeah.
gotta
I
watch out.
got
But
you.
listeners, thank you for tuning in. And until next time, till all are one.
Till all are one.
Till our one.